let the people know why they should be interested in that.
Not to talk about AI back to back on you folks. I'm sorry about that, but I saw this late yesterday come across my desk in an RSS feed, and I went, this looks interesting, because I recently dropped Adobe and their Creative Cloud membership because the price was approaching $70 after taxes a month. I couldn't quite get there. But when I read this about their new generative AI offerings, it kind of made me scratch my head and made me wonder, what are they doing to make all this happen technology-wise? That was an interest to me. And should I go back and give them a month's fee just to try this out? As we know, with generative AI, we have kind of gotten to a point where we expect to enter a prompt and get a result. And we go back if we don't like what's generated, and we refine that in the same prompt. But if you're a business owner, you've got a branding, you've got your own style, you've got your colors, you've got your font, etc. That's where this new Adobe Firefly model comes in. You can go in, according to Adobe, I have not tried it, and you can create your own model that is strictly based upon the way you do business, your colors, your style, your content. And Adobe will store and keep that model and keep your preferences. So you can go in and say, change my logo to this. Change my logo to David likes McDonald's to David hates McDonald's. Your colors, your font, your background should match from generation to generation. And I got to thinking about this. I said, this could be good, because one of the biggest things for companies is keeping your branding. If you can go in and create a model that knows your brand, knows your color schemes, knows your style, and you can go in and ask it a question and just get creative assets that match, you got something there. My question is, what happens to your Creative Cloud price? Because the assumption is that everybody's going to want this, so everybody's probably going to pay for it. So we're going from $60, $65, $70, $75, $80. This is all great, but what are we willing to pay for custom AI options? It's the first real custom option I've seen. That's what made it, catch my attention, to where you can customize the model. That's how it's worded in their press release. You can customize the model. So are we ready for customized AI options? And secondly, are our wallets ready for customized AI options? I'm not sure.
That's a good question. I see Adobe Firefly as kind of an interesting sub-tool, essentially. This is going to be a tool, I think, that's going to replace Photoshop and Premiere as an all-in-one solution. Because what it does is it allows people who don't have the expertise, don't know how to utilize the entire menu of options that are in these very professional apps, but they need to do a little bit of light editing. And they can know relatively some decent prompts to do it, and they can get it done. It's kind of like if you combine the best of Canva and Photoshop and put it all into one thing. I think that's where, mid-tier businesses, smaller businesses, to your point, someone that makes it important for their branding, and then you get something done quickly on a relatively low budget, where you don't have to hire in-house or create in-house or hire a third-party marketing firm. This is the tool you're going to go to. And Adobe's creating, they're bolstering it with a ton of AI. Meanwhile, they still offer, the box sets of Premiere and Photoshop and Audition and, Acrobat and things like that. But eventually, I think it's all just going to be consolidated in that. Now, that's where you start to ask, what is the price? Is that one app eventually going to be $89? Because it does all of these things that you instead of you having to manually cut and edit video, you just type in like, hey, give me some jump cuts, give me some, transitions that do this and do that and whatever. And I just type it all in and then creates that versus me having to manually get my own B-roll, manually cut each second, manually overlay images and all that stuff. Is it worth $80 to $100 a month? That's the question. It's cool to see that they're getting this done, but it's also interesting. You should note that their stock, since they've been putting AI in, hasn't been doing very well. So I don't know if it's the investors just not believing in the product, or if they are getting feedback from users that are saying that maybe all of these features are just too complicated or don't produce the added effect. Maybe it just creates more work than necessary.
What's the common word? The common word is agent. Everybody says, uses AI agent. I'll leave on this comment. I think agent is going to start equaling employee. And I think there's going to be a wall there to get over as to what people will pay and what they won't. Because, they're like, well, do I pay this $100 a month or do I let my marketing person do it? My marketing person can do it, and my marketing person can do other things because they're a physical body here. So I think we're going to have to get through that of, where's the line for the agentic agent? Let's use the term. Where's the line for the agentic agent versus the human body that is sitting in my office?
We'll leave that hanging. You guys can help us solve that with, if you have any responses, leave them in the comments below. Moving on to our next topic.